Hello, everybody, and welcome to JL&TL Looped. Welcome to the Soul Train. Well, the podcast train, the talk train. It's a train Brian is riding right now. I'm your host, Paco.
And
You already stopped.
I ran out of breath, sorry.
And I'm being silent.
But what the...
Guys.
It's not easy to do beatboxing. I don't know how those guys do that. It's hard to keep it going. That's why they loop it. You got to loop it.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to have the sound tech loop it.
Also because they're their own band, so they have layers. So they do the drums, then they do the bass, then they do, guitars or...
I was watching
It's fantastic.
the Philadelphia 76ers against the Boston Celtics last night, and guess who was in the audience? Biz Markie. Do you guys remember Biz Markie?
I don't.
No, girl, you got what I need.
Ah.
Did you say he's just a friend? No, you guys don't know that
No,
song?
I
Holy
know the song, but I didn't
shit.
know
I
the
didn't know
name
this.
of the
That's
artist.
Biz Markie. I actually
Biz
met him
Markie.
in an... He's enormous. No, in Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh.
I never met him in... He's enormous. He's like 6'5", like 280 pounds.
Wow.
He's a giant.
So what, he's an NBA player too?
No, he's a rapper.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Yeah, the Biz versus the Nudge. Anywho,
Wait, so
hey guys.
So the match was basketball or...
Yeah, it was at basketball,
Okay.
NBA. Yeah.
I'm sure
NBA
Philadelphia
season.
won, right?
They did, that's
Yeah.
right. Good call, buddy.
Yeah. If not, you wouldn't be so happy.
That's true. Because I hate Boston.
Come on. They have a nice accent.
No, they don't. It's horrendous.
Boston.
It's like
Boston.
it's like knives in the ears.
Vagina. Boston.
Really?
It's an
I think they
awful
say
accent.
vagina.
It's an awful
Say
accent.
vagina and Boston and
No.
other... I don't know. I'm not American. I have no idea.
Speaking of Poland, nobody listening to this is going to get the reference, but there's a big Polish population in Pittsburgh, from where the city I'm from.
How come?
Big Polish population. I don't know. They just migrated to Pittsburgh when people left. You see that, like with Boston, they're known for their Irish population.
Yeah.
Big Irish population. When people from a certain country came, to the U.S., they seemed to migrated to
Certain
specific
areas.
areas.
Yeah.
Mm.
Big Polish population also in Chicago, but what people don't know is that there's a big Polish population in Pittsburgh.
That's interesting.
Anywho,
So you had some good time in Pittsburgh, right?
I love Pittsburgh. I absolutely love Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Not Philly.
No, I hate Philly. I hate
Because
Philly.
you used to live in Philadelphia,
I
right?
lived in Philly for 10 years, man.
Yeah. No, it's always sunny in Philly. Come on.
It's got to be one of the greatest series of all times. But
But it's funny. I don't know if you know Shashi. You know the series? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
it's a TV series.
It's a TV show.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hysterical.
It's a
It's
very
it's
good
funny?
show.
Absolutely hysterical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should check it out.
For a number of reasons. But apparently, and I didn't know this, but Brian confirmed to me that what they reflect as the way of living in Philadelphia and their personalities is very truthful to what it is in
Reality,
reality.
yeah.
How they behave, how they speak, what they do, and
Nice.
I mean, obviously, it's exaggerated for comedy's sake.
yes. And
But it's not far off.
Yeah, and the point is just four buddies from which you have one sister and one brother. They have a bar, an Irish bar, and they do stupid shit. But when I say stupid shit, it's very stupid shit. And they plot stuff at the beginning of the episode. They have these huge plans and they sound reasonable, but then as it goes, you go like, okay, that's making sense. And
Okay.
the funny thing is that it doesn't have much continuity. It's just every episode is encapsulated in its own episode. You
Okay.
can watch whatever. There's
Right. Like any sitcom, right? Most
Yeah.
of the sitcoms.
And the funny thing is that they started the show. The first episode costed $80. Only $80.
And this was like what, 20 years ago? Or
No,
It's a new one.
2007 or
No,
Oh,
I'm
yes.
telling you, I
it's
think they've been going
2000s.
That's it.
mid 2000s.
Mid
They
2000s.
started.
Yeah, I would say
I think they're on 13 seasons. So we have to check. We have to fact check that. But
yeah. I have
I've been going for a long time.
because I started
man.
watching it not long after Breaking Bad, but I think I was already on season 4 of Breaking Bad, so maybe 2009. I don't know, but around that time, and. They started the first season, which was hilarious and was fantastic. Danny DeVito was actually a fan of the show. And I don't know if he called them or they called him, but he was completely on board. And then they included Danny DeVito, which was like the cherry on the top of the cake. Because
Do you know
he's
who Danny
fucking
DeVito
hilarious.
is?
Hmm?
Do you know who
Danny
Danny,
DeVito.
DeVito is?
I heard about
Because
this
you're
name.
looking at Paco like you had no
Yeah.
idea
Is
who
it- is
Danny
it-
DeVito is.
No.
Come on,
Is it
he's
the
a
one in
pretty
Godfather?
famous-
Pretty
Or-
famous, yeah.
Pretty famous U.S. actor, but he's
He's very short.
Could be. I mean,
It's-
maybe I need to
Okay,
see.
have you watched? You don't have to be embarrassed by this, but have you watched Tim Burton's Batman?
I guess
Both?
so.
The one with the penguin, he plays the penguin.
Right. I
The
don't
old
remember.
Batman, the original
Yeah,
Batman
no.
movies.
No,
that
no,
were
no,
kinda
not the old one.
campy.
The Tim Burton ones.
Yeah,
The
kinda- they were
super
kinda,
weird, fucked
yeah.
up ones. Danny
Ah,
DeVito.
anywho,
Yeah.
great series.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Well, anyway,
Great
it's
series.
it's very, 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 very recommendable. It's fantastic.
Shit City.
It has to be one of my favorite shows ever. My
It's
best.
your
It is-
ringtone. The theme song is the
Yeah.
ringtone of your
and
phone.
and that's the funny part. They use
hysterical.
music from the 50s, like orchestral music. Yeah, him. Well, that's the character. Yeah. the
Okay.
penguin. Shashi's showing me a phone with a picture. Yeah, they use music from the 50s, like Sinatra style, like
Okay.
big orchestra, but without voice, and all the soundtrack is that. There's nothing else,
Hmm.
which is even better. I don't know. It's fantastic.
That's brilliant.
The show is very well put. The jokes are on point. Every episode is as best as the other one. It's just
Cool. You
It's
guys
fantastic.
are following the latest season as well, or it kept its charm over the time?
actually it's being aired right now. It started on September.
Yeah, I keep asking Netflix to put it on, but they haven't responded
never
to many of my
responded.
emails. I want them to put it on
Oh,
Netflix.
this guy
but-
gained one more email for one more series. You know.
Fucking Akon, man.
This
what the
this
fuck?
American guy is getting bored in Switzerland, and he's like really.
I keep bombarding
Yeah.
Netflix to put it on, but
They go, Johnny, come on, he's the American guy again. What do we do?
yeah.
Yeah.
So how's everybody?
Going
Boba,
good.
good?
Yeah, good.
Mhm. I'm good.
Pac-Man,
Yes.
Paquito.
Paquito.
Paquito, that's a nice name. What about
Yeah.
you, Brian?
I'm fucking exhausted.
Couldn't sleep last night?
Nope.
Because of the
It's
kid.
been weeks. I
Is
haven't
it,
slept in weeks.
is it Jackson or Charlie?
It's both.
It's both.
Wait, Charlie wakes you up?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, Charlie's injured. He hurt his leg. We had to put him in a cast for a few days, but now he's out of the cast. But now he's licking his foot, and he's not sleeping, and he's walking around in the middle of the night, and he wants to go out because he has to pee because he's on medicine. Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm telling you, it's a goddamn circus at my house.
Out of curiosity, do dogs have diapers too?
I've never seen a dog with a diaper, but I'm sure that exists.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear an echo though.
I hear an echo too.
Maybe it's the speakers are up.
Yeah,
or-
I must have misconfigured it or for whatever reason.
Echo, echo,
Yeah.
echo.
But the volume is all the way down, so it should be completely silent, right?
Right. Maybe
See,
you should
it's-
mute
it's
it up.
super silent. But maybe you can go like this. Yeah, you go. Now we have no echo. There you go.
Yeah.
Technology, man.
Awesome.
Cool, guys. So, Paco, what's the topic?
I had 3 possible topics in mind. One of them is not necessarily deep, like existentially deep or personally deep, but it can be. It depends on you guys. That's the first thing. The second thing is
I'm
a little
intrigued.
bit,
I'm
a little
intrigued.
bit political regarding to my country, Spain.
I've been
Regarding
following what's
certain
been going
events.
on.
I'm
yeah.
not getting into the Catalonian stuff
Oh, okay. That's what I've been following.
because I can go into that, but I don't want to go into that.
okay,
It's
fair
just
enough.
other stuff.
I'm
Fair.
okay if you're going towards tapas and stuff like that, or
I could go into tapas too right now.
Is that a political issue?
Not necessarily, at least that I know. And the third topic is just to try another philosophy experiment, the one which talks about grossing and things that grosses us out, which is pretty interesting because we were speaking about eating animal flesh or the
Yeah.
different animal fleshes.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I have those 3, or whatever you guys have in mind. So I have those 3 things.
Boba, I'll leave it to you, buddy. You
I think
choose 1, 2, or
I think
3.
the philosophical topic sounds interesting. The other ones are also interesting, but since you say it's philosophical topic, it can be quite abstract. So let's start with that.
Boba likes
Mo-
his
mo- mo-
philosophy.
More than a topic is actually a small test.
Okay.
A small test where they ask you certain questions and you answer them, and then they give you a view of what they think you are.
So it's something that we have to do it online, or
Yes.
is it not like
Yes.
that we can
We did
discuss
it-
among
yeah.
3 of us? No.
No, we have to do it online. Well, we can discuss anyway, but it's something to do online.
Okay, got it.
So you like to do that?
Not online thing, something that we can talk about, or we can
We
do,
can talk about.
or we can just go with the other topics too.
Well, this is pretty cool. Paco found this website that provides these questions these philosophical
Oh,
questions.
right. And
So
then
we
we
just
go with.
basically-
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
he
let's do
reads the
that.
question off the line. And
That was
then
what
it
I was
kinda-
trying to explain.
Yeah, it kind of
very
goes
badly.
through this sequence of a couple, 2 or 3 questions, and then
Then okay, I think that
kind
sounds
of
fun.
builds this.
And then it asks you different questions from different angles. You have to answer honestly, and then it tells you, okay, this is your vision, or this is your contradictions. You have these contradictions because you contradicted this point with this question and this answer. It doesn't judge you. It just says what
Right.
you are, which is fantastic. And then
Sounds
you can
good.
see other people's answers. And blah, blah.
Sounds good.
Let's
Yeah,
give it a
let's
try.
do it.
Let's see how it goes. We did this.
Alright.
Yeah, I missed that part.
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
this when you were on
Yeah.
vacay in the Seychelles, baby, and it was really really interesting. It was
My drummer is in Seychelles right now.
your drummer's in Seychelles.
Yeah.
Wow, lucky bastard.
He sent a picture in a super blue turquoise ocean. It was,
It's nice, huh?
man.
Did you? Let me ask you this while Paco sets up the question. Did you do any snorkeling while you were
I
there?
did.
Yeah. Did you run into any jellyfish?
No.
No. Okay. Yes, because we were there. I mean, we were relatively the same time. We were there in December, though.
And you got a jellyfish?
We went snorkeling, and I swam through a fucking landmine field of jellyfish,
Oh.
and they stung the shit out of me. And at first you're like,
this,
"Ooh,
this stung you.
oh shit, yeah, dude." I mean, they were tiny. They were little.
Right.
They were the little tiny ones. They weren't the big, freaking.
So you
Man
had to
of
apply
Wars,
some
but,
cream or ointment?
saw
or-
Man
No,
Wars.
Julie had to pee on me.
Right, you saw Man Wars.
No, I said they weren't the
Oh.
Manta Wars. They were little tiny guys.
Maybe this
Some
is
of
all-
those are the wars, by the way.
Seems like this is all
The
set
super
up for
tiny
your.
ones.
Oh, they stung the shit out of me.
Seems like this is set up for your honeymoon, no?
Yeah,
A golden shower in the beach.
right.
Who doesn't like that?
It's actually advertised in the brochure for the hotel.
It's hot. It's
It's a
cozy.
honeymoon. Yeah, if you're coming for honeymoon, this is the place.
Yeah. Where all the golden showers can be made. It's
It was
fantastic.
it was really quite beautiful. But then we swam into this field of jellyfish, and they stung the shit out of me,
Oh,
man.
fuck.
Wow.
It was weird.
Apparently,
I wouldn't be comfortable.
No, I
think-
swam right the fuck out.
I think in Australia, because where else anyway, you have these little jellyfish which are almost transparent.
Yeah,
That are deadly as fuck. I think it's the deadliest animal in the planet.
that's
That
be.
thing.
Everything.
I don't
comes
think.
from
I don't know what
Australia.
it does. I don't think it's a neurotoxin, but it just obliterates the human that touches.
A lot of things,
touches
you know.
it paralyzes you, and then you drown.
They have the dangerous jellyfish, reptiles, scorpions, whatnot.
Everything kills you
It's
there.
like, yeah, it's crazy place.
And by the way, the manowars is not one animal. It's several that join together, which is to me amazing. It's like how you call
Sounds
this?
like cheating.
No, it's a symbiotic relationship, right? A lot of animals do symbiotic relationships.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So this
but
is
if it's
one
the
of
same animal, just a bunch of them gathered together, it seems like cheating to me.
I don't think it's the same animal.
No,
Is it the same animal? I don't think
I
so.
have no idea.
I think it's just different animal. I don't know. I'm not. Let's not go there. I
I'm
don't
not
know.
a biologist.
Okay, I have.
Sashi?
I have
Okay,
this-
here we go.
Seems like this episode is going to be I don't know because
I don't
you
know.
used so much of I don't know.
Nobody knows anything
I don't know.
anyway.
Knowledge is knowing that you know nothing.
Exactly.
Mm.
I have the test in front of me. I will try to read it as best as I can. With
Yeah.
My,
Oh, you do good, buddy.
Go ahead.
All right. The test is called "Would you eat your cat?"
Oh,
Would you eat
can
your
I
cat?
can I give a pre-read answer?
I know what you're gonna answer. I know what you're gonna answer.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Boba. You answer first, and then I'll give my answer.
I don't
after
have a
you.
cat, so I don't even know what it feels like.
But you can
It's a
put yourself in the
hypothetical,
place of
buddy.
somebody that has a cat. Don't worry, everybody has an
Would I
opinion
eat
about everything.
Paco's cat? I would say no.
Why not?
I
He's a
don't
healthy
feel-
cat.
I don't like to eat
Maxwell
a cat.
seems like a nice guy.
I
Yeah,
don't
he's
eat-
fat. You know, I mean,
No, I don't like to eat a
but
cat.
you don't kill him. He has to die first, then you can eat it.
Even
What
then, I
the-
wouldn't.
Okay, go.
We're not okay.
Go,
let's
go.
start this thing.
Let's get
Okay.
into this. We're gonna get off track.
Okay. So this is a little premise that they put, so you kind of get in the mood. The aim of this activity is to tell you something about how you view the morality of behavior that many people will consider to be disgusting or repellent, or obviously wrong, but where it's difficult to explain exactly why the behavior should be seen this way.
Right.
A couple of points before we start. The activity asks you to make judgments about a number of scenarios. You need to treat these as if they are accurate descriptions of real world events. In other words, we are interested in your judgments about the events as they are described here, not as you imagine they would actually occur if they were real world events, blah, blah, blah. So it's exactly what they say and nothing else.
Right.
You will be asked to make yes or no choices. If you aren't sure whether to choose yes or no, opt to response the most inclined response you're toward. Like the one you feel the most, even though you're not exactly
Got it.
for that answer. You should then take this into account when you read the analysis at the end. Right? That's other stuff. Okay. Let's start. 5 preliminary questions. So they kind of test you a little bit to have kind of idea what you... Okay. As most of the activities on this site, we need to start by asking you a few preliminary questions so we can get a general idea of your views about things. This won't take long, I hope. Question 1. A small girl is playing on a swing in a local playground when an adult comes along and pushes her off into the dirt for no other reason that he had a bad day at work and wanted to take out on somebody who couldn't fight back. Are his actions morally wrong? Morally wrong. This is the important bit.
Yeah.
They're morally wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We say yes. Okay. Moving on.
Guy's an
Why
asshole.
morally it's wrong? I mean, it doesn't in any way. Legally, everything
Question
is
number
wrong.
2. Is it possible for an action to be morally wrong solely because people find the idea of it a bit disgusting? For example, if lots of people found the idea of eating porridge disgusting, could it be morally wrong to eat porridge just for this reason and no other reason? Was that clear?
But the previous, so it's a different independent question, right?
It's just another question.
It's not connected to the previous
It's
one.
just individual question. Then we'll go to the test. But this is just individual questions.
So the collective. So the question is because
So
a lot of people. So yeah,
Is
go with the
something
crowd.
considered morally wrong if a lot of people find the idea of it disgusting? Just because people think it's disgusting, should it be morally wrong?
That doesn't.
For just that reason?
No.
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 Fantastic. Could you click? Yes. Okay. Question number 3. Again, unrelated. Can an action be morally wrong if only the person or people harmed by this person or people undertaking the action? For example, could it be morally wrong to smoke if it's true that nobody except the smoker is harmed? There are 2 things that should bear in mind here. First, if you respond no, it will also be assumed that you don't think that an action can be morally wrong if nobody at all is harmed by it. Second, for the purposes of this activity, you should assume that every action that aims at doing harm or which carries the responsible action of causing harm actually causes harm. In other words, don't answer yes just because you think the assassin who falls in an attempt to kill her target and thereby causes no actual harm has nevertheless behaved immorally.
Right. Can you just repeat the question again? Not the
Yes.
entire thing. Because
I'll skip the parentheses because it's confusing.
Just a
Can
question.
an action be morally wrong if only the person harmed by it is the person undertaking the action? Meaning, a smoker, is smoking morally wrong if the only person and solely the person getting harmed is the smoker himself and nobody else?
No.
Okay.
According to me, I don't know, Brian. You should go.
Well, I have a difference of opinion in you because to me that sounds like it's pushing us towards the idea of whether suicide is morally wrong or not.
No, it's just causing harm. Suicide is more than harm. It's just killing yourself. Harming is actually...
But not harming anybody else.
But
No, but I don't think
it's
it
smo- I
goes
mean,
to suicide because
smoking is slow suicide.
living is slow suicide. But
Well,
suiciding is taking your life. This is just harming, so causing harm to your body and
But
actually suffering it.
the analogy,
Which
of
is
the
different than
of
causing
the-
suicide.
The
Suicide.
assassin missing her target and therefore nobody hurting doesn't mean that's doesn't mean that it's
Yeah, but they
a
put
moral action to be an assassin. So,
they put an example for you not to get lost. But I think
but we'll go with Boba's
Okay,
answer. But
okay.
I think,
Because I think morally wrong has eating a chocolate is morally wrong. I don't think so, right? So I think moral depends on a lot of your values, what you have, and everything.
it's like, for example, taking hard drugs. If you take a hard drug and the only person being harmed is you and only you, is that morally correct or not? Like, I don't know, doing heroin, for example.
See, I mean, I feel that you're taking extreme examples because drug itself is we have a
I
we
don't
are
know,
bad. So let's eat a lot of, for example, lot of food in India is very carbohydrate intensive food, vegetarian food, like eating pasta every day, for example. Is it morally wrong? Because drug itself is a negative thing. But eating pasta every day, is it morally wrong? I don't know.
No.
So
But it's just talking about the harm. Anyway, let's continue with the
right,
questions.
right.
Question number 4. Does morality come from God or any other source independent of nature, the social world, and the human judgment?
No.
No. Okay.
It doesn't come from God for sure.
I'll read the question again.
Brian differs from me.
Does
Don't
morality
don't
come-
ask me.
Does morality come from God or from other source independent from nature, the social world, and the human judgment?
Independent from.
I'm not saying God. There are pretty many
Well,
things. Just okay, but you say no. Okay.
I agree with you on that one. No,
Yeah.
but I'm also an
Okay.
atheist. So.
Now we have the test.
Ooh.
Okay.
Let's read this bitch.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Oh, this is just a preliminary, huh? Just to get.
There are 3 scenarios as far as I can remember. Scenario 1, it's called a son's promise. We're not going to present you with 3 scenarios, and you get to answer 2 questions about each one. As you'll notice, we are not asking you to make moral judgments about the events that are depicted in these scenarios. Rather, we want to know whether you think any harm occurred, and also about how the events make you feel. If you feel uncomfortable, bothered, disgust.
Right, right.
Scenario number 1, a son's promise. Carl Bianchi's mother was very ill. On her deathbed, she asked him to promise that he would visit her grave at least once a week. Carl didn't want to disappoint his mother, so he promised that he would. But after his mother died, he didn't keep his promise. He was too busy. He didn't tell anybody about his promise, and he has never felt guilty for failing her.
He never felt guilty.
Yes.
Okay.
Was anybody harmed by the fact that Carl failed to keep the promise he made to his mother on her deathbed? Yes or no? Was anybody harmed?
No.
No. Okay. Question number B.
But
letter B.
even Brian can
Oh,
answer.
okay,
It's
okay.
not just me. Brian, go ahead.
Brian too. Yeah, sure.
No, I agree. No.
Okay.
Nobody
Okay.
was harmed.
B. Would it have bothered you or made you feel uncomfortable to have watched Carl promising his mother that he'd visit her grave at least once a week if you knew perfectly that he wouldn't keep his promise? Live, so you were in the same room with them.
Right. If he's not feeling guilty, I think it's okay.
No, he's not feeling guilty.
He said.
Okay, yes, he's not feeling guilty. Yes,
You're right.
yes,
If he's
yes.
not feeling guilty about it,
It wouldn't bother you.
yeah, it wouldn't bother me because I'm not connected, and it
He's
doesn't-
basically lying to his mother that is dying. No.
I mean, now the question is lying morally correct or wrong? I don't want to go into that area. Sometimes lying for a good reason can be okay, no?
Fantastic. Okay, so you don't feel uncomfortable, and
No.
you wouldn't either, Brian. Or
I
you
wouldn't
would.
either because by this time I've realized that Carl's an asshole, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, let's say no. Continue. Okay. Scenario number 2, a cat snack. Betty's cat was killed in a tragic accident with an out-of-control lawnmower. She had heard that cat meat was jolly tasty, so he cut her cat up, cooked it, and ate it for dinner. To date, she has never regretted her culinary experiment, and she claims not to have suffered any harm as a result of cooking and eating her cat, Fopsy.
Mm-hmm.
Question number A. Has anybody been harmed by the fact that Betty ate her cat? Yes or no?
No.
That's good.
Brian for sure says
And
yes.
Brian says, because Brian had a cat, I don't think he's thinking about that one. A bitchy cat. Anyway, let's just answer the question.
Nah, I guess not.
What would you say?
Well, so, I mean,
I guess nobody was harmed. She ate the fucking cat. I don't know.
Okay. B. Would it bother you or disgust you to watch somebody eating their pet cat as an evening meal?
no.
This is not Fopsy anymore, huh?
Hmm?
This is not. We're not talking about Fopsy. Question number B doesn't talk about Fopsy, the cat of Betty. He's just talking about a cat, somebody eating their pet,
Right.
Yeah. It's
not
okay.
Betty and Fopsy. Anybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
Shashi's okay. And Brian,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I wouldn't eat it, but if
I would
somebody's
it
eating
wouldn't
it,
bother-
and for me, why
To
would?
me, I wouldn't give a shit. But
Yeah.
personally, I would say no. I wouldn't give a shit. It's their cat, whatever. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Brian.
For me,
wants
it is
to
a
skip.
practical thing because, like in India, we don't eat cow because we consider it's holy. And I come here, everybody eats cow. Would I be disgusted? No, come on, let them eat whatever they feel like.
That's a good
would
point.
I eat it? I
Mm.
wouldn't
That's a
eat
good
it.
point.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
Question number 3, my personal favorite because it's the worst one.
You've done this already.
I have.
Fuck you.
The lovers. Robert and Mary are brother and sister. One night, while on vacation together away from home and staying alone in a tent on a beach, they decided that it would be fun to have sex with each other.
What the fuck?
So they did.
Sounds like Euro trip for me.
The following things about them are true. They enjoyed the sex. They knew that because of a medical condition, Mary could not get pregnant under any circumstances.
Why is it a medical condition? Because of brothers and sisters. No, right?
No, she
Biology.
has a thing that she
Okay.
cannot get. She's sterile.
Okay.
She's sterile. So they enjoy the sex. She is sterile. They decided that they would not have sex with each other ever again. And they haven't. And they have never regretted the experience. So they enjoyed it. In fact, they are still pleased that it happened and consider it a special and positive event. It has also remained their secret. Question A, has anybody been harmed by the fact that Robert and Mary had sex together? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Nobody was harmed. Question B, would it bother you or disgust you if you found out that a brother and a sister you know personally were enjoying an ongoing sexual relationship with each other? And this is the bit, ongoing sexual relationship and personal. So it's not again the case of Robert and Mary. They are actually having sex with each other continuously, and you know them personally.
It's okay. I don't care.
Shash is okay. Brian?
Yeah, that would fucking bother me.
Yeah, I would say the same. I don't give a shit. Whatever gets you going. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, for me, would I? No. But if somebody is they're having a good time, it disgusts me? No, I don't think it'll disgust me.
yeah. Okay. Now, if you want to know how close you were to all the people that answered, scenario number 1, you said that it wouldn't bother you to see Carl Bianchi, lying to his mother, and you also wait. I'm lost. So, 45% of people agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
For the second scenario, for the cat one, 25% of people agreed with you, and for the final one, 31% agree with you.
Wow.
Those are low percentages.
You're quite the libertarian, brother.
Yeah, this way. I think in Europe is quite liberal, right? You're American, that's why you're so.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, now another round of the same scenarios, but slightly different. It's the same scenario, but the questions
Next
are
level. This is the next level shit, huh?
not necessarily next level, but close. So, it's the same scenario. So Carl Bianchi, goes to the deathbed of her mother. He tells her that he will visit the grave and blah blah blah. You know about that. Was Carl Bianchi morally wrong not to keep the promise he made to his mother? Was he morally wrong to not keep the promise he made to his mother?
What's this guy's name?
Carl.
Call.
Carl.
Like the llamas. Carl. You don't know the beat. I'll show you later. Moving on. Was he morally wrong not to keep the promise?
So what is the negative of the sentence? Is he morally right? That is the opposite of it, right? If it's not morally wrong, it's morally right. That's what it means, right?
The question is, was he morally wrong? Was he in the wrong morally? Yes or no?
Boba, what do you think?
That's what I'm trying to understand the question, because you really emphasize morally wrong. So if I say
Because that's the thing that changes.
If I say
from the
no,
other
that
question.
means that he's morally right. That's what it means.
No, I don't think it's one or the other. Maybe it is, yeah.
I think it's binary.
Is it?
Because you
think it's one or
cannot
zero?
be. Yeah, I think it's morally right or wrong. So
Right,
if he wasn't wrong, he is right. Obviously, yes.
So I wouldn't say he's morally right. I would rather put a morally wrong.
So he is morally,
Because
okay.
the question is put that way, I would rather choose that one because that will have a
So
higher
Carl was
probability.
morally wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Continue. Same scenario: the cat, the woman, the cat, the accident, whatever. Was Betty morally wrong to eat her cat?
Again, I'll go with yes, because if I say no, it'll be morally right to eat their own cat, which I don't agree.
Okay.
It's a choice,
Okay.
right?
Oh, yes, sure.
I can. So I would.
So
say
it is morally wrong that she ate the cat.
Can I give a neutral answer? Because it can,
No,
it
this
has
is-
to be. It has to
that
be
was part of
binary.
the rules.
Remember the thing.
That
If you're
was
not
part of
sure
the
of
rules.
either of the answers, try to think about the one that you would feel most close to, roughly.
Right.
But yes, that's the answer. Yes.
Morally,
Okay,
yeah,
then
morally
continue.
wrong. Yeah.
Again, the lovers, same situation. They had sex. She cannot get pregnant. They enjoyed it. They will never repeat it, but they find it positive, whatever. Were Robert and Mary morally wrong not to have sex with each other?
So so if she gets pregnant, then it becomes morally correct. So what is the thing?
No,
Because
no,
you
no.
the
Nobody
co-
gets pregnant.
No, but the context is like there's a lot of emphasis of she not getting pregnant. So what if she can get pregnant,
I
and
don't
still
know.
if they can have sex, so the whole thing changes or what?
I don't know. I don't know if we're seeing that test, but what they're asking now is that in the only
Yes.
case that they propose, so they had sex, she doesn't get pregnant, and she will never get pregnant. They will never have sex with each other again. They enjoy the experience and they find it positive and reinforcing. Were they morally wrong or not?
The reason they put a caveat on the she can't get pregnant is because of incest,
Yeah.
and because when family members have
So
Children with
zero,
each other.
basically zero consequences.
right
Zero
So,
consequences.
I mean, it could be
They have-
protected sex, right? You can say it's a protected sex. You know, they use condoms or something.
Or not. It doesn't. The condom doesn't really matter. Nobody. So there's no repercussions outside.
And why
what
is
they-
it only once? Why can't they have it because they liked it? Why can't they keep doing it?
The scenario is thinking about something that happens once and doesn't have
the-
any other consequences whatsoever.
So if I look at this way, it happened because of, let's say, the
Same,
nature.
same with the cat or the guy lying is the
No,
same stuff.
I think the way I see it is like it happened once because natural instincts took over, but then they realized it was not correct. That's why they didn't do it again, but they didn't regret it the whole thing.
They didn't say it was morally wrong. They didn't say anything about that. They're asking you if it's morally wrong. They don't. Certainly, Robert and Mary, they don't feel that way.
But because they enjoyed it, they liked it, they feel good about it, but they didn't want to do it again. What does it mean?
They just decided not to, but they don't give you any reasons why.
That means that there's some kind of something that morality played for them, right?
But
Because
that's the thing. They're not asking you to go farther into the story. The only facts that they want you to think about is the facts that they present, and of course we could
no, it's
argue.
very deeper because
Yes, I agree.
The
but
question could be, that their brother and sister who had, let's say, protected sex, and that's it. That it can stop there, and they can ask me what is the morality there, right? But they give a big context at the ocean. It just happened once. It never happened again.
Yes,
she'll never
because-
get pregnant. It seems like there's a lot of depth there, right? There's a lot of context to that.
yes,
thing,
because
no?
it's a topic that is very hot, meaning that anything, hot in the sense. Wait. Hot in the sense that is kind of volatile. It's a volatile concept. Okay, it's very volatile.
right.
Fucking sorry, it's volatile in the sense that anything, any detail can get pushed to the limit, like because they will repeat it again because they want to be they were seen by somebody. The thing here is to have some sort of isolated event in time and in space, and
take it at face value.
Go
Just
for it,
take
so
Brian.
something
Go for it, Brian.
something that happened
Take it at face
completely
value.
isolated. Nobody has suffered any consequences either inside or outside the event. Nobody knows about it other than them. So that's the thing. They want to isolate it as much as possible. That's why they say not getting pregnant in a beach. It's a secret. So it's completely there. Because if you put it outside, then it goes into society, right? Because their parents know, because their friends watch them, because she gets pregnant, they have a kid. That's a lot of stuff. And to
Right.
simplify it, to completely isolate it, I think they put it this way. I know it's kind of twisted and it's a weird scenario, but it's just to isolate it from all the
Yeah,
let's say
a safe bet
socially
answer.
imposed or
Okay, so the question is it morally wrong, right? That's the
where
question.
they're morally wrong.
Yeah, it is.
They were. Okay. Moving on.
Moving on. The
No,
next
now,
level.
now it's the statistics.
level.
You're a male. You're from other.
You're from other?
He's from other. The options are Canada, US, Australia, and other. Other.
So what happened?
And you are. I've never asked you. Are you Hindu?
I'm a Hindu,
Okay, then Hindu.
but I don't practice it. I'm just like on a paper, like Brian is Christian.
Results.
You are.
I'm absolutely not Christian.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even close.
Religion-wise, no?
I don't associate with the religion.
You don't because it's your personal choice, but your family are Christians, right?
My family.
You were
may be
raised-
Christian.
Do you celebrate Christmas? Fuck, you're Christian.
Damn it!
If you celebrate Christmas,
Fucking
you
trapped me.
you celebrate Christmas, you're Christian. Period.
I was raised Christian, but I'm not Christian. I don't celebrate Christmas.
You don't celebrate Christmas
I
with your
don't give a
family.
I go eat with them because there's
You're Christian, sir. You're Christian.
no. I
But
don't. I don't believe in Christmas. I don't celebrate it. But I go to
Yeah.
eat with them because they love me and they go, come eat with us. And I'm just gonna say, no, fuck you, mom, because I don't. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it's just it's dinner. I don't
When was the
care.
last time you guys went to a church?
I watched the concert.
Yeah, I went to see my
I went to see a
mother-in-law
concert.
sing in a church not too
Yeah.
long ago.
That you guys are Christians.
Why? To go in a church doesn't mean you're Christian. Fuck off, man. Go
I
ahead.
had to buy. Hey, I had to buy a ticket.
I bought a ticket too. It cost me $13.
The
Come on.
last time, listen, the last
You know what?
time,
I went to. Go ahead.
the last time I was in a church to go to worship with my family, I was 16 years old,
See?
and that's when I realized none of it was for me.
Okay.
Let's go back to the churches. It's just to follow what we were doing.
Some
Right, right.
beautiful churches in Europe. I mean, just
Yeah,
incredible
insane. Oh, and
architecturally.
I could give you the reason why, but it's okay. Your results. The moralizing quotient, it's 100%. And your Yacometer, it's 0.
What is Yacometer?
The Yacometer.
Nothing,
So,
nothing
like-
grosses you out. None of this, none of these scenarios.
Oh,
Gross you out.
Yacometer.
none of
Okay.
these-
But
none
your
of these-
moralizing quotient is 100%.
Okay.
So, the moralizing quotient is an average measure of your tendency to condemn the actions described in these scenarios as morally wrong. A score of 100% indicates a fully moralizing position. A score of 0% is a fully permissive response. And the Yacometer, Brian explained.
Right.
So now you have the analysis of all the 3 scenarios that I don't know if you want to know. They analyze your response and they give you.
Okay.
Would you like to know that? Or?
I would like to know.
Okay.
I would
You
like to know
answered that
Boba's
Carl
analysis.
Bianchi behaved immorally in not keeping the promise he made to his mother on her deathbed. Unfortunately, this response is almost inexplicable given your early claims that an act cannot be morally wrong if nobody is harmed by it, and that nobody was in fact harmed in this particular instance. Moreover, it's not even the case that you came to the judgment that Carl behaved badly just because you find his behavior repugnant, since you claimed that you wouldn't have bothered watching him lying to his mother on her deathbed. In all, your responses to this particular scenario do not fit together very well. In fact, they're rather baffling. That's what they say.
Right.
You're quite
So-
baffling guy.
So you say that it doesn't disgust
No,
you.
because this is the whole point, right? Because the moment you just because the questions you asked are very simple without any story or anything, right? And then you go with the logic. But then when you put all this setting, they're brothers, sisters, they're, stuck in the beach, I don't know, they want to do again, then there's a lot of context around it. When you put a context, of course, your response changes, right? And that's where,
But
because you asked a binary question, would it really bother me? It wouldn't bother me, but is it morally wrong? So what? The question is it morally right?
Yeah, either. Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it's morally right. I would rather say it's okay. I would rather put my money on morally wrong than morally right. So if I say morally right,
Well, what
that-
other
that-
answer than
that-
morally right or wrong
so
would you
if,
give?
if I say if it's morally right, then the other side of the story is basically, that means that you agree that brothers and sisters can have sex. That would be the conclusion of it, right? Remove the strip of it, go for the
Well,
logic.
there's no other points. Either yes or no, right?
No, I don't think so.
Like either you're okay that they do it or you're not okay.
No,
Can you be
it-
like half okay that they do it?
Is it not possible that it's not American politics where you have to choose either Trump or Hillary, right? I mean, I could just be neutral. No, I mean, it's not like you have to choose one of them. No, I wouldn't want to put my thing there. It's fine. Would it disgust me? It wouldn't disgust because I'm not there, right? It's not affecting me.
Mhm.
As a third person, I can always say, it's fine. But would I do it? I wouldn't do it
They don't
because that's my morality,
But
right?
they're not asking if you would do it or they wouldn't do it. You find it. They said if it's morally right or wrong, because something that is morally right, you are not necessarily prone to do it. Like for example, I don't find it morally wrong that they have sex because they do whatever they want. I wouldn't personally do it
Right. That's what my
because I find it how would I put it? I find it disgusting if I put myself in that situation. But if I have to look at the others, I don't care. For
Yeah.
example, like
This is what it is. I don't care. But the question is if it's morally wrong, then I cannot say it's morally. Yeah, I would say it's morally wrong because if not, it's morally right. You
Yeah.
see the negative sentence. So.
yeah, but
But maybe I shouldn't
but
see
but
in a
again,
negative sentence.
if
yeah.
you have, like, how many other sides would you have? Because there's just morally right or wrong. Can you have like half right and half wrong?
I think we
Is one action, so
It's
one
tough.
answer.
It's tough to say
I-
yay or nay.
I know.
on it.
I get your point. By the way, sorry, Brian. I get your point. Like, it's something that is very particular, very isolated. You have no more. I mean, not a lot of possibilities to handle and whatever. But I think and to be devil's advocate, they're trying just to isolate the events as much as possible. Because the thing here is, like the Japanese saying, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, it did actually fall.
See,
Does
So-
it actually make a noise? If a tree
Oh,
falls
yeah,
in the
yeah,
forest
sorry,
and no
it
one is
actually
around
make
to
a
hear
noise.
it, does it actually make a noise?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
I
It's a
think
good one.
it's very
the sort of
passive.
like that.
If something is happening, right, there's a revolution happening. If you resonate to the revolution, you would
Mhm.
go for it or you wouldn't go for it. But
Like
there's
in
also a lot of
Lebanon.
people who would just be silent because they don't care. And a lot of these scenarios, it happens to I don't have a cat, so for me it doesn't really care. But if I really have a cat and if I really have a pet, maybe the emotions would be very different. Then I would really say it's morally wrong, right? So it's the same thing. I don't. So in a lot of these cases, I think there's also a case where you see it as a third person and you don't judge. It's okay. It's their problem.
Mhm.
Would I judge it? No, I wouldn't judge it. It's fine. It doesn't disgust me. That's fine. But then if the question is are they doing it really right? Then I cannot really say they're doing really right, because that's where my personal thing comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a neutral answer is also a valid answer. That's what I'm saying. You don't need to be binary. That's what my point is.
Okay.
Because for binary can only happen if it relates to you, but as a third person, you can always be neutral. It doesn't disgust me. It doesn't mean that I like it or I hate it.
Mhm.
Just I don't care.
Yeah.
The world needs more people like you, Boba.
Like Switzerland, they don't care. Just be neutral. Just don't care.
Yeah. Well, that was the experiments, but it brought things. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
But it's tough when it narrows it down to
Yeah.
here's
Yeah, I
a
mean, I
scenario,
get-
good or bad.
But
Well, motherfucker, you just gave me this scenario and I can't. Who am I to?
well, the thing is that I
That's
mean,
tough. Yeah.
this thing it tries to make the best approach possible to questions that are very tough to answer, and to try to simplify and minimize all the things. So mentally, when you approach them, you take them as is, and you don't. I don't know. It's a nice barometer to kind of
Yeah.
check your stuff.
I
But I
think
get
it's
your
excellent.
point that it's oversimplified, and sometimes
I
you
know.
need more shades of answers than just yes or no or morally wrong or right. I get your point.
Yeah,
But-
unless it's related to you. For example, you like this or you don't like this. That's okay. But if does Brian like this? Okay, I don't care if Brian likes Polish girls. For me, really don't care. Right?
Just to clarify, Brian likes Polish girls.
I really don't.
That's gonna be the name of the
Clarify
podcast.
that.
Brian likes Polish.
Brian definitely
No,
likes
we're not calling it.
Polish girls. Yeah, and it's all you have to look at the scenario. That's what people. It's one of the problems in the world, is that people don't have any empathy. That people don't look at the situation. That's you think it's what's going on in the U.S. right now is that it's identity politics. People say I identify with this because of this, and they don't really care about the policies. They don't care about
Yeah.
this or that. They just say, well, I'm with this
Because
side,
I like
so
I like this
fuck
dude.
the other side.
Yeah.
Or I
It's-
like this dude, and then you don't think about what he said. Oh,
you
he's a cool
have
guy, but what
to-
did he say?
You have to step back and take a look at the big picture
Yeah.
and then make your decision. But people don't do that.
That's
why
that's
to me,
kind of
people-
the ad
the
hominem
world-
politics, and that's horrible because instead of thinking about the ideas, you think about the person because it represents the party or whatever. And
That's
then,
it,
I
that's
vote
it.
him because he's good looking. Or he's a cool guy. He's stylish. Bro, I mean,
That's-
what has he said?
That's exactly what's
You know,
going on.
or what
I
has he said- she
identify
said,
with
you know.
this, therefore, and it's identity politics is what they call it,
Yeah.
and it causes a lot of problems.
Is
I think the only solution is people should get educated, which is a very long process. Maybe it'll take a few centuries, but I think
not only that, but you know,
because the mass of the population is not educated, and politicians they kind of polarize them.
but I think it's also it also goes further than that because it's like not giving a shit. Because when you give a shit, you spend energy and resources and you make efforts. When you give a shit, when you don't give a shit, you don't do anything. So
It's much easier to say, I identify with this. I'm not going
Right.
to put the energy into
So,
actually researching
I
what
think
these guys are about or what they've done or who they've raped.
yes, so it goes in combination with what you said. You are uneducated and maybe you don't give a shit. And giving a shit, like taking the time of reading the programs, understanding what they're saying, the implications of the political program. If you go in Spain, for example, and you ask, and this is something that I've seen in videos, and you ask people, who are you voting? They will answer right away, I'm voting this guy, I'm voting this guy. Why? Because I identify. I say, why do you identify? And they go like, I don't know. Yeah,
Because I have a
they're
mustache
cool to
and
say.
he has a mustache.
Have you read the program that they're presenting? No, and 100% of the time they have never read the program.
But for me, yeah.
Which okay, then in essence they're not gonna fulfill it or whatever but at least it's
At
their,
least they're promising something.
yeah, it's their, how you put it, it's their flag. It's like, this is
Flagship.
me, right?
Right,
This
right.
is their stuff.
People
And
need
if
to-
you don't even read it, then what's the point?
But
Okay.
I think in the modern world, I think we need to have a nice topic on this. But I think the way we are doing democracy should really change, right?
We're not.
There should be some kind of intelligence to it, rather than just a number game of how many people are on which side.
Who's doing democracy?
Nobody's doing democracy.
I mean, the way it has
Democracy
shaped-
doesn't exist in our world. Nobody's actually doing democracy. Nobody.
Switzerland's the closest to it. Hey, you know
The
we-
closest, but it's not even.
We should
Why-
have
why
a
not the US?
We should
Why
have a
not the
discussion
US?
about that.
Especially not the US.
Why?
In their constitution is
false
written, this is not
democracy.
democracy. It's written on your constitution, by the way. If you
It's
read it.
it's a
Or the fathers, how you call it,
we call them the founding fathers.
whatever. Yeah,
No,
that
it's
document
not a
is written.
democracy.
We are not a democracy. It's written there.
So what are you?
The
guys?
people's vote doesn't count in the U.S. It doesn't count.
So what comes? in-
But it's not a democracy
What
by
counts?
definition,
Money,
Brian. By the way,
money counts. The whole time we're talking about eating
Just
that
saying.
cat, I was thinking about. Did you guys ever see the Book of Eli? That movie, The Book of Eli with Denzel.
yes, I didn't like it.
The
No.
beginning of the
I
movie,
watched
he
it, I
shoots a
didn't
cat, but the cat doesn't have any fur, so it's his furless cat, and he shoots it with a bow and arrow. And then
Like
he
an
eats
Egyptian
it.
cat. The
Yeah, well, I mean, it's post-apocalyptic scenario, and Book
I,
of
wa-
Eli.
I watched the
Book of
movie.
Denzel.
Eli now. Denzel Washington.
Denzel's the man, dude.
Yeah, he's very good.
Why? Dude, how would
I have seen- I have
you
seen li-
disagree with Denzel's the man?
I have
No,
s-
he is the man. I'm
Oh,
just saying the
okay.
movie was
Yeah,
Have,
movie's-
have you
questionable.
seen? Have you seen? Have you
Don't say
seen?
that.
it's not the best. It's okay.
Have you seen Life of Pi?
Oh yeah.
No, I
brilliant.
haven't.
Brilliant film.
I haven't.
Oh,
I haven't.
Absolutely
but that
brilliant
it
film.
has to do with some kind of it's cannibalism. No, like he eats people.
They
yeah?
leave the ending.
No,
leave
it
the,
is not
the
an-
ending kind of open so that you can.
But I
maybe
think-
there's a
no,
different.
but
It's
the-
brilliant. It's a brilliant movie.
Yeah.
Like,
But they have nothing to do with each other. The movies, like it's completely
no,
different plots.
no. Just
What has nothing to do with each other?
no. The movie.
The Life of Pi and
no,
Book of
no,
Eli.
They're
is
completely different films. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Life of Pi, brilliant.
This
Book of
is-
Eli.
Because Life of
Okay.
Pi is a guy that gets trapped in a boat with a tiger.
That's a story he
yeah,
tells.
That's the story.
That's a story.
But
But
what
what is
Sashi
reality is very
saying-
different.
Right, what Sasi is saying is that may not be the case. But no spoilers. You should watch it. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. It's brilliant cinematography, brilliant acting, brilliant
I'll watch
story.
it. I'll watch it.
It's
Really,
a
really
great
good.
movie.
Who directed it, by the way?
Ang Lee.
Ang Lee. Okay.
It got the Oscar that year.
The great Ang Lee. That's right.
Best director? Best movie?
Best
or-
movie, best director,
Mm.
something like
Alright.
that. But it's really brilliant. movie.
So,
Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. What do we call the episode?
We said it in the beginning.
I don't know.
Yes,
I don't know.
we said it. I forgot.
I
I don't know. I don't know. Exactly. Fucking yeah.
the
Motherfucker.
light bulb went off.
Motherfucker.
I
come on.
saw the light bulb
Dude,
go
it's a
off
Friday at
above
1.
your
Come
head,
on, my
bro.
brain is already fried from the week. Jesus. Okay, I don't know. That's the fucking title.
I don't know.
Guys, I really don't know.
What I do know is it's always a pleasure, boys.
That is true.
Same here.
Same here. Yeah.
Guys, have a nice weekend.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
See you next week.
You too.
Yeah.
And see you next week.
Ciao.
Bye bye.